Welcome back to Newsline. I'm Bianca Garza. Great to have you with us this Monday. There is a new player emerging in Middle East politics that could shake up the landscape between the U.S., Israel, and the world. Our Daniel Cohen is in Tel Aviv today with more on the hardline president-elect of Iran that the mainstream media is calling a, quote, reformist.
Hezbollah's terror commander in Lebanon, Hassan Nasrallah, is praising the new president-elect of Iran as a strong supporter who will work together until final victory, which means the total annihilation of the Jewish people. Most of the media is reporting Masoud Pezeshkian's a reformist, but one Middle East expert tells me that's simply a veneer. The State Department says Pezeshkian's election wasn't free or fair and likely won't change Iran's human rights abuses. Iran will continue to pursue nuclear weapons while supporting terrorists, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and others. The media is calling the 54-year-old former heart surgeon moderate because of his stated desire to open Iran to the West and cancel the headscarf law. Iranian freedom activist Emily Schrader says that's a lie, that Pezeshkian's enforced hijab and mandatory gender apartheid laws before they were even on the books.
They are looking towards the United States, and they know that more than likely Trump is going to return to the White House. And if that happens, we are going to see a crackdown on sanctions, as there should be. And so from the Ayatollah's perspective, having someone, a puppet in place that's being branded as a reformist is actually advantageous because it presents a false perspective of reality.
Pezeshkian's on record saying he'll try to have friendly relations with every country except Israel. The Islamic Republic is reportedly set to triple or quadruple its uranium enrichment capacity at Fordow. That's one of Iran's most secretive nuclear facilities, where it's installing some 1,400 advanced centrifuges. Turns out President Trump's potential return to the White House greatly shaped Iran's presidential race. Pezeshkian spent a good deal of time discussing future sanction negotiations with Trump. The same sanctions lifted by Joe Biden that allowed billions of dollars to flow back to the world's leading sponsor of terror. For now, Ayatollah Khamenei is reportedly taking a wait-and-see approach, especially in regard to Iran's nuclear policy. Bianca, back to you.
Daniel Cohen in Tel Aviv for us. Thank you. Let's bring in now our panel to discuss this and more. Pleased to have Republican candidate for Congress in Arizona and counterterrorism expert Dr. Zuhdi Jasser. Also with us, retired Air Force Special Operations Commander, national security expert Glenn Ignacio. Gentlemen, a pleasure. Thanks for joining me here today.
Good to see you, Bianca.
It's great to be with you.
Well, when you're getting praise from the head of, Hezbollah, obviously we know this is a bad dude here, the president. They can call him a reformist all they want. I want to get your take on Masoud Pezeshkian. What does this mean? If anything, we know, obviously, the president doesn't wield as much power in Iran just because of their political structure. But Dr. Jasser, obviously, now he emerges onto a very complicated and conflict-ridden Middle East in this moment in time.
Yeah, this is simply the cycle that Iran and their Islamist supremacist theocracy has gone through, from Rafsanjani to Raisi, and now back to the so-called reformists. It's completely window dressing. There's no reality to it, and they do it when they want to. They know that there's a stronger America coming with President Trump. Hopefully, that'll be elected in November, and it'll be return of sanctions, and then they'll pretend to be working with the West, and that's really how they labeled him a so-called reformist. And I've worked in Muslim reform for decades now, and I know a reformist when I see one, which are the ones that are in prison typically in Iran, not the ones that are running for office in this sham democracy of theirs. So it's really just window dressing, while they also launched an attack against Israel from Lebanon, and we see them militarily being much more forward, and we see Europe headed towards more leftism. So they have a window of opportunity now, and they're setting up the propaganda, if you will, to say that they're working with the West when it's all a sham, while they uptick their nuclear program and uptick their actions against Israel.
Yeah, and they would love for Joe Biden to stay. This is their hope and their way that they can still continue to enrich themselves, as we've been talking about, especially since October the 7th. Glenn, so many mistakes have been made, and it's hard to even fathom what worse things it could have been done. But here we are in this situation, but they've got millions of dollars, the sanctions that were not enforced, the prisoner swap before. This is Joe Biden coming back from Obama, appeasing Iran.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, if you just take a look in this short history and just looking back, we had 140 attacks against U.S. interest within Iraq, Syria, and so forth. And until 3 soldiers, unfortunately, were killed, did Biden then react against Iran. We saw the incredible launch from Iran against Israel. Unfortunately, that was taken care of by allied forces. And then, of course, you're seeing these incredible strikes from Hezbollah that started the day after the Hamas attack on Israel. So ever since this release of money and this relaxation as far as what we're going to do with Iran has become emboldened. We're seeing an incredible amount of refinement of uranium, as you reported. And in fact, within the last couple of days, we're seeing a buildup in some of their facilities of ballistic missiles. So where are those missiles going to go is going to be a big question. So you're absolutely right. Things have relaxed since this administration, and we're going to have to see something much stronger going forward.
Such a sharp contrast from Donald Trump, the Abraham Accords, so much closer to Middle East stability here. Saudi normalization with Israel was right there on the cusp, as you guys know. This just came in. President Biden's favorability rating hitting a new low. The source 538 here, not surprising, but he's digging his heels in, as you both know, calling into MSDNC this morning. And here he is on ABC talking about, it's incredible here, talking about what he's done in foreign policy.
George, I'm the guy that put NATO together, the future. No one thought I could expand it. I'm the guy that shut Putin down. No one thought could happen.
He shut Putin down. Seems like he gave him a chance with a minor incursion comment that led to what we're seeing in Ukraine. And, all of this talk right now as the NATO summit starts tomorrow, Dr. Jasser, what will you be looking for with Biden making more comments here, more comments for folks like in Iran and everywhere else to pick apart and analyze to see how weak we really are?
Well, President Biden is so out of touch and confabulating the reality. The reality for NATO is that they are under the worst terror threat that they've had in years, and they're under an alert with a known threat that could be anywhere throughout Europe. So that's really the pretext what's happening as NATO gets together, and we're seeing open borders that's threatening us. We've got recently a ring of over hundreds, 400 to 500 folks that came in illegally that were led by ISIS into America. So our wide open border is destroying our country, and Biden doesn't seem to care about the security threat as he ushers in humanity including terrorists and others. So the threat that Israel has seen since October 7 has been brought to the West, and President Biden has been missing in action and allowing that to happen. And we get peace through strength. It seems that wars are ended by conservatives and Republicans, and they're started by the weakness of the left.
Appreciate your comments. I know it's happening in your back door there in Arizona. I'll have you both back to continue the conversation. Glenn Ignacio, Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, appreciate you both.
Great to see you. Thank you.
Thank you.